What's happening, everybody? Welcome to episode 4 of the Demo Breakdown by Freelancer Codex Podcast. There's a lot of cool things to be talking about the last few minutes of this demo, so let's get started. Alright, so last week we left off right after the Colossus had found the rune, and they started talking a little bit about the lore and how you're able to find that all throughout the world. So the next thing that's coming up here is the boss battle. So some of the things they talked about after showing off this demo, and we've learned since EA Play, was how this boss battle seemed really easy. It seemed too easy. People weren't getting hurt and those kind of things. So they explained, of course, that it was balanced so that they wouldn't die, right? So this whole point of the demo was to show it off. And even though when we watched this at EA Play, they still almost died every time we watched it. So while it is toned down, the damage that the boss does, they were still almost dying. So let's talk about this boss here, the Swarm Tyrant. It's a pretty crazy looking spider with 3 large egg sacs that they talk about here. Each of these egg sacs obviously are weak points, and once the javelins are able to blow up on the egg sac, it gives more damage for a small amount of time while you're shooting that part of the body where the egg sac used to be. It's pretty interesting. It's a crazy looking spider. It's definitely not something I want to mess with. I know there's a few other people in the podcast that maybe they're scared of spiders, Steven, but so I think it's really cool. Spiders are pretty great enemies. I really liked the look of the Swarm Tyrant and also the other smaller variations of the enemy types of spiders here. So there's lots of cool things we'll see here in this clip. I'll start playing back some of the first initial loop here. So the Swarm Tyrant can shoot out this webbing, which if you don't block it or you're not far enough away, you can get stuck in there. And you have to be able to work your way out or power your way out through the webbing. Obviously, if you don't, or if you're stuck and you can't move anywhere, you're going to be vulnerable to attack. So that's something like you can see where, if you're watching the Colossus, we'll put up the shield and just backing away. It's so that they can block from that webbing so they don't get stuck in that webbing. Now we can also see here the Ranger just shot off its pulse cannon. We don't get to see it ricochet, but at least we get to see it fired from a different angle. One of the other things you can notice here is the other Colossus is trying to light that Swarm Tyrant on fire, but it doesn't just instantly catch on fire and get that status effect on it. They've told us, with bosses and larger enemies, you're going to have to build that up. It's not just going to instantly happen. You can't just throw a frost grenade or try and light it on fire really quick, and it's not just going to take effect. You have to build that up over time. And so that takes a little bit of strategy and a little bit of extra time to get that in there for it to actually take effect and do extra damage. I also really like here you can see the storm is shooting it with elemental damage with its frost ability or ice ability. You got that so if you look there, you saw when the Swarm Tyrant shot out, it's webbing up against the wall, and if we had been close to that, we would have been stuck in there. So here you go. They blew up one of the egg sacs, and it's more vulnerable currently in that location right now. It's taking on some good amount of damage. So that's one of the cool things with the combos, like we've talked about in the past. You really got to work together as a team and use those combos to do a lot of extra damage. Here's another basic instance of, okay, the boss retreats, you've done some damage, and now it's going to, call in the ads and cause issues for you. So you have to figure out how to clear out the ads in enough time so, 1, you don't get hurt and take a ton of damage, and 2, so you can get back to fighting the boss. I also like in here, you can see again the elites, as they come out there, they have that skull over their head, and then obviously the Swarm Tyrant, if you're looking up there, you can see they have a different looking skull with the 3 lines coming out the side. I just like the visual cues in the user interface to give you information about what kind of enemy you're facing and how dangerous it is. I also really like those acid effects going on the Colossus here in the last little bit. I really, you know, they've just put a lot of detail into the environment and everything else that's going on. Oh, the Colossus just got smoked. Well, I got smoked, but didn't really take any damage. So, obviously, it's a tank, right? Or, it's like a tank. So, alright, this part of the demo is almost coming to a close. One of the things they told us, here's the ultimate, right? Here's the big ability for the Colossus. Everybody has a different ability, and I'll replay this a couple times here. So each Javelin, they have their own version of an ultimate, right? So we've seen the Ranger has the rocket launcher ability. Unless they've changed it, you know, where we haven't really seen the newest version in action. We can assume that that's the ultimate, but right here they're showing off the ultimate for the Colossus. And again, they told us they toned this down for the demo purposes, right? So they really wanted to show off a lot of the things going on, and they kind of you know, kind of termed it as like you're shooting off mini nukes when you're shooting off that ultimate, which sounds pretty powerful. But I look forward to seeing that in its full effect, right? I mean, how much is it really going to do? It's doing a decent amount of damage here. But you can see, you know, there's 6 bars for the Swarm Tyrant. So there's a lot of health to take down. But are the weapons and stuff toned down? You know, it's in the demo built for showcasing the game. You know, they don't want it to be too fast, too easy. So it's a hard balance to make. But again, this ultimate is pretty sweet, and the ultimates are not something that you can change. So there's one ultimate for each Javelin class, and right now there's only one of them, and you can't change it. Alright, well, we've come to the end of the demo here. I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. It was a lot of fun looking through this demo over and over again, trying to find any clues and information that we could about what's going on, what is going to be, you know, in the final game. We look forward to sharing more information with you guys as soon as we can. The next big thing, obviously, we're looking for is they talked about a music blog as well as story information. So stay tuned for that information. We'll cover it as soon as it comes out. And until next time, as always, there's a Shaper Storm coming. We'll see you on the other side.